Yeah, that's later in the evening, but right now it's sugar, my friends. This is yet another Power Pack panel. We have at least 8 presenters out here. It will be moderated by a gentleman who is very adroit as far as this is concerned, because he has a ton of experience in doing that on camera for years. He is the commodity editor for Zee Business India. Ladies and gentlemen, for this session, please welcome your moderator, Mrituenjay Jha. I should have less sugar and more protein. Mrituenjay Ji, please step up on stage. On the panel from Shri Renuka Sugar India, Ravi Gupta. From Meir Commodities, Rahil Shaikh. Rahil will be stepping up in a short while. Nihal Seneviratne from Nihal Brothers Group. He's the Vice President for Sugar Importers Association of Sri Lanka too. Nihal. The well-known gentleman who needs no introduction, he's now with Meir Commodities, GK Sood. On the panel from Sri Lanka, Ranga Wellappili. From Paris Sugars Refinery, India, Manoj Mohan. From Wilson Trading Company, Sri Lanka, we have Kasun Andrahennadi. And to add to the panel, please welcome Tayyab Balagamwala. All right, ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a fantastic panel. You had a good lunch, great protein information, and now it's time to be sweet with sugar. It's time to hand you over to your moderator, Mrituenjay Jha. You'll need to put more than 47 seconds on the clock for Mr. Jha.
Sorry, we are cracking some sweet jokes. So till the time Mr. Jha gets ready. Thank you very much. And it is truly an honor for me to moderate this session. And thank you very much, BSF, Bharat Subcontinent Foundation, for such a wonderful program. So this session is on sugar, and we have a very top mind of sugar industry present here. So my first question is, Mr. Sood, to you. First, tell us what is the global demand-supply scenario of sugar demand and supply?
I think Rahil will be more competent to answer this. Having said that, most of the analysts look at the current production and demand, and ignore stocks because they, in that case, they pronounce a deficit or surplus. So, two or three noted analysts for next year are predicting a deficit of about 2 million tons. The year is beginning with rather low stocks in Brazil, not as low as one thought earlier, because the production is recovered. And the consumers are running short of stocks because the way market has fallen for the last month and a half, they have tendencies to use up the stock rather than make new commitments. So if that is taken into account, next year's production in Brazil might recover because one is that the rains have a very beneficial, and secondly, the share of corn in ethanol production is increasing, sparing more sugar for production. Then India has been island, which is neither imported nor exported, so really it doesn't matter. We have lower production, say about 2 million tons compared to last year, and another 2 million tons extra going into ethanol. So net 4. And Thailand has little higher production. So in our region, well, what it tells us is that the market should be constructive, unlike what the futures are showing. They continue to fall because there is a rumor in the market of Indian exports, and that's probably has triggered further fall. First, the market adjusted to a recovery in Brazil production, which was written off because of the fires. But then the production was not that low. It recovered back to 41 from 39. And next year's prospects improved. So market reacted to that, fell, and further push down has been given by the Indian tumors. So, but beyond this, I think we see a constructive situation.
Okay.
And fairly balanced demand supply. The surplus is not there.
Okay. So now, Mr. Rahil, do you think what Sood sir has said? So do you think global sugar market currently is in good shape? There is no problem globally. The global sugar industry is in good condition right now? Do you think?
I think as far as Sood sir just mentioned, the market looks very constructive now because I think it has collapsed to a level where Indian exports also becomes unviable. So I think on a cost of production basis with Brazil, it's still constructive because Brazil cost of production basis the current real will be about $300 per ton. So the market is trading at around 470, 480 on refined. So if you look at the raws value, it will be around $390, $395. So I think Brazil industry seems to be still making money. As far as Indian export parity, if you look at, I think at $480, basis our domestic market currently, Indian cannot export refined sugar. India will not produce any raw sugar. And whatever we will have, little bit of low quality whites may go into Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, and part of it will be eaten up by the refineries which are coastal based refineries. So I think the benchmarking of the market looks to be good. I think it's in the good shape currently. I mean, at these levels, one should be looking at from here a rally once the Indian news comes in, whether it's coming or not coming. Once that news is absorbed, I think the market will take a next step.
So in one line, Mr. Sheikh, sugar trades are safe. So what you want to say?
All traders always safe only. I mean, but ideally, I think as I mentioned, the Brazilians are still making money. Indians are not making money. The Thais are having an expensive affair. So I think you have to look globally into two halves. The hemisphere in Brazil is making money, whereas the rest of the world may be not.
Okay. So now, Mr. Ravi Gupta, there is strong buzz in Indian market that government is going to allow 1 million ton sugar export. So do you think it should be allowed in this situation when production figure is not, very clear?
So, Mrituenjay, what is happening this year is very unique year because cane, as you know, is a 12 months crop. So initially, the cane crop suffered a very, very dry weather when it was under the ratoon stage. No rains, and there were very high rains. October was very cloudy. So this time, different things are manifesting in different regions. For example, Maharashtra is suffering from very, very low yields, lower area under cultivation, and yields and recovery are surprisingly coming lower in the region where it was not expected to be so, let's say in Sangli and Maharashtra. Karnataka is facing a different problem altogether, which is the flowering on the cane, right, which is unprecedented as far as that scale is unprecedented. In UP, you go to Bijnor, Moradabad, and all these places, there is a red rot effect, which is a very, very big effect. I have seen the production number ranging from 30 to 32 million tons of sucrose, which means the production number ranging of net sugar to be 26 to, let's say, 28. Maharashtra Sugar Federation.
So from where you got these type of calculation? From a multinational company or?
So in India, in fact, there are more analysts than the actual traders. So you don't have dearth of the people who forecast production.
Is it true? A major multinational company holds a significant buying position in the global market, and that's why they are lobbying that India should not allow export. Is it true? Because it's buzzing in the market.
So the market, you see, market always likes to aspire for a conspiracy theory.
So is it conspiracy?
It is like to believe something and say, no, I only know it, nobody else knows it. It's something cooking. But I don't think anyone in this world can influence the whole trade, which is of 180 million tons of sugar trade. And so I don't believe that it can happen practically.
Because industries have changed their stand. Before 6-8 months, all sugar trade body are on same page, but now they have completely different view.
Oh,
Why?
that's a good question you asked. You see, come back to April when we started. That time when we started, it was after a good rains. The crop was looking very, very healthy. India was being talked about 34 million ton of gross sucrose minimum. Some were even more than 34 million tons. So that time everybody was saying that, yeah, give us 2 million ton of exports, because if 24-25 is 34 million, obviously 25-26 will be even 40 million. So it is not ideal to store sugar within the country. Just sell it across and export it. But now the reality is in front of you. The reality is that 30 to 31 million tons of gross sucrose. So basically you have come down. For example, I'll tell you, the largest industry estimate was 33.2 million tons. Right? They're already lower to 32.5 and coming further lower. So the production has changed.
But ISMA is saying there is enough stock to export.
Depends what the production turns out to be. If the statistics which is there that the production is 32.5 million ton of gross, of course there is enough sugar. No doubt about it. But if this 32.5 becomes 30 million ton of sugar, which a lot of analysts who are aware of the production scenario talks, then you have no sugar. And mind you, sugar, I always say, the WhatsApp University is very active these days. And that's why I try to keep away from it as much as possible. Everybody like to forecast and jump the gun, right? Oh, 34 million ton. No, 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 it will be more than 34 million ton. Then there is a race to predict crop lower, 31 million ton. No, no, 30, it's 29. You know, so my belief is, which I advise to the government also, which I advise to everyone, India should have 2 months of policy declaration. 1 February, because by January and you more or less know where the production is. February you should declare your policy, and second policy you should declare in September. And why I say that, by February...
Until then, so-called multinational company would have sell their, stock.
I don't know why you bring it again and again, because my stand is going to be with a lot of responsibility, and I'm going to talk to you about India. What anybody else does is not something which...
So-called multinational companies lobbying for only 20 days, right?
20 days.
20 days. You are just saying from 1st of Feb, you can take decision on export, right?
See, now 15th January, today National Federation has come out with a data of 27 million tons, right? The earlier estimate was close to 29 million ton. 2 million short we have already seen from the industry bit. Other bodies also, ISMA for example was started at 33.2, then came to 32.5. I don't know what is going to be the next estimate. And mind you, the sugarcane production, when it goes down, the tail end of the production drops faster. The first 3 months you will crush maximum in any case because the cane is available.
Okay.
Tail ends become steeper.
Right. So one last question on export, then we'll go to the other topic. Rahil, what's your take? Do you think India is in the situation right now to export sugar? Minimum 1 million ton. Do you think it should be permitted?
You see, I always say that the government should make their policy basis their numbers, because nobody knows better than them, because they have all the data of the mill stocks. They have the production data which is coming from the mills.
But those data are correct or not? Who will
See,
decide?
today if an agricultural ministry says that there is sugarcane available of 440 million tons, I mean, we have to believe that the area is 5.9 million. Nobody else have the drone here in India to go and capture the acreage which the government has it. So I think if you look at the government number, what are they saying? They're saying 78 lakh of opening stock, 7.8. They are saying production, which they have not yet quantified, but I would say that they will be anyway in the range of 32 to 33. So say 32 million and then 8, so they are about 40. Our domestic consumption according to the government and ours is 29. So there is 11 million ton left over, out of which 4 will go into ethanol blending. I think ethanol blending may come down as well. So 7, 8. So you have
we can export.
So we have 1 to 1.5 million to export first. And please understand, Jha Sahab, that next year crop, the planting is going to be big.
So the export decision should be taken right now, or should wait till first of
There is no harm in taking it now. Because at the end of the day, you have an export window before Brazil comes out.
But Ravi is saying there is harm.
No, I mean, you see, this is how the markets are developed.
Harm for whom? For the industry or for particular traders, trade lobby?
I don't know whether, I mean, what harm definition did Ravi had, but I think personally harm he meant was, it will be detrimental that we export today and we may need to import later on. That must be his observation. But I think we have 11 million ton and we are going to divert 4 million into ethanol. So we have 7 million tons of stock. We have to fight against the Brazilian crop which will come in the month of May. So February, March, April, we can supply easily 200,000 tons to Sri Lanka, which Kasun and Ranga will be able to tell you more. We have 300,000 to 400,000 tons market into Afghanistan, which is the Ramzan demand would come in. So I think there is an opportunity in this short window. If we can take it, it's fine. I mean, but at the end of the day, it all depends on how the government look at the policy rather than, me taking a take onto it. But I think the timing is just right. Ramzan demand is there. We can export that 1 million and then we have a stable domestic price.
Okay. So now, so there. Let's see what will happen. But now, Mr. Nihal, we just wanted to know what is the current demand-supply scenario in Sri Lanka?
Yes. As you know, Sri Lanka is a very small country compared to India. It's only 22 million population and even much smaller than even city in India. So our demand is like, it's consistent for the last maybe 10 years. It's about 50,000 tons per month. It's about 600,000 tons a year. So for that, there are so many sugars are available. These days, mainly EU sugars are being traded, Polish sugar, French, and all the other EU countries are active in supplying. And there are major giants like, Cofco's, Drapers, and all these are actively participating. So the demand, as you say, like, we always, there are about regular, about 12 importers are there who are regular. They always hold a stock for about 1 to 1.5 months stock as a buffer among them. Yes, I would say for the last, most of the sugar importers are here. Sri Lankan sugar importers are here. I would say last 3 to 4 months, every importer has been losing heavy money, heavily, because the thing is like, now yesterday closer to a $20 drop. So today our market is, we are just undercutting the market to each other. So the thing is,
what should be done to strengthen the sugar trade relation with India? Do you have any suggestion?
Sorry?
What should be done to strengthen the sugar trade relation with India? You have any suggestion?
India.
So our trade relation should be more better.
Yes. No, here basically it's about the price you pay or the price you buy. So I would say now these days, for the last couple of months, EU has been giving fantastic premiums, So people who bought the premiums and wait for pricing actually won for the last 2 months, I would say. People who price at that 600 levels are losing, so that's what is happening right now, because no one thought the market would crash, to so much, So when you compare the EU premiums to the Indian premiums, there's a clear $10–15. Sometimes it's even more a difference. So people will always go for a better premium, For example, like, Indian Renukas, and the premiums were around 65, 60, even 70. Whereas EU premiums were, sometimes it came down to 35 and 27 also. The best premium we got was 27. Unbelievable premium. It was a fantastic premium. So when there is such a big difference, I don't know. I really don't know how the difference works. When there is such a big difference, hardly people will go and buy the Indian 45s.
Okay.
So that's what is happening for the last about maybe 3 months or so.
Okay, fine. Mr. Ranga, what is the situation of white sugar import?
Sri Lanka only imports white sugar, low quality whites and refined sugar. So we import about 600,000 tons, as Mr. Nihal said, per annum. And before that, let me tell you, we produce sugar as well in Sri Lanka. So we produce brown sugar. So for about 10% consumption, about I think 60,000 tons we produce in Sri Lanka for the 2 seasons. So due to that, the brown sugar has been banned for imports to Sri Lanka. So let me add something to Mr. Nihal's. For the last 3 months, I would say not the last 3 months. I think latter part of 2023, so all the importers in Sri Lanka will be losing. I think one reason, what I've realized, from 2023, even the top trade houses, they didn't, the market was never read rightly. So everybody thought the market is going to go up, and so all the importers in Sri Lanka, so they left and right went and bought so much of quantities. And unfortunately, due to the market collapse, so all these guys been losing like anything since 2023. I think I have to add that, as I said, last 3 months, not last 3 months. For the last almost 2 years now, the importers have been, excuse me, been losing actually. So actually, Sri Lanka is a very good market, especially for India. Has been India has been a very crucial exporter for us, because so whatever policy decision or anything what India takes, it affects the domestic market, because domestic Sri Lankan sugar market is very volatile. So now one example, yesterday a news that shaken today's market actually. So we never know actually. So as an importer, so all the importers in Sri Lanka should understand their own quantities, how much to import, okay, so their own capacity, because so I think these days what all the importers are making a mistake of importing the quantity what is not required actually. So I think India, and the other thing, all the Indian policies, so as exporters and suppliers, I think we'll have to be advised, I don't know, in advance, so what is India is going to do in future, at least for the next couple of months, so that we'll be notified and so we can take decisions when purchasing sugar.
Right. Okay. Mr. Kasun, just tell us, if India allows 1 million ton sugar export, then what impact you see on the global price and your import, white sugar import?
Yeah, if India exports 1 million, so we have to see the price that India will export. So if it is going to be anywhere between $480 to $500, which is around $50 less than what we can buy today, so that will have a direct impact on the local market. So like what Mr. Ranga and Mr. Nihal said, we import 90% of our requirement from India, and I remember what Ranga was talking about latter part of 2023 and coming to 2024, when India was out of the export market, and at that time Brazil, everyone thought that we'll have to either buy from Brazil, because no one knew that the refineries would be able to basically substitute that the 150s. And somehow there were a lot of talk saying that there will be logistics issues, and India refineries will not be able to bring in the raw sugar on time to refine and give it to the neighboring markets. But end of the day, what happened was that everything was managed really well. Brazil managed to export record quantities, and then India, the refineries managed to refine the sugar and basically substitute the requirement that Sri Lanka and the neighbors had. So there again the premiums came down, and what's happening in Sri Lanka is that every time because traders are used to speculating. So when we speculate, because there's no way to mitigate the risk. Now I know in India, in other countries, if there's excess sugar, you all are making ethanol, and the export, there are alternatives. But here, when there's oversupply, it is here, and then it's going to reflect in the local market. So, and the traders need to maintain the market share, plus they need to sell in a market that is coming down. So eventually, if you have to sell, your customers are there, but every day you need to take that loss. So over time, when the market was coming down, the traders have been taking losses. So, if Indian exports will come in, 150s will come in, definitely yes. That will also, the markets will come down, and all of us have stock prices will come down. So then whatever the losses that we'll be facing will be higher. So like what Ranga said, it's always better if we are informed of the decisions that will be taken in India, because India has a huge impact on the Sri Lankan on the local market. And here, when I said that traders are speculating, when the prices are going up, when the world market prices are going up, traders are well informed. So then they tend to buy more, because this is the only time that you can make the money. But what happens is that when that creates oversupply situation, and the oversupply situation, basically, even if the world markets go up, when there's excess supply in Sri Lanka, our markets does not adjust. It doesn't go up as fast as the world markets are going up. So our market is always lower than the world market. And it happens the other way around also. When the markets are coming down now, like Ranga said yesterday, $15 went down, and today local market is already down $15. Whereas
Okay.
so
Done.
so you see the situation. Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Tayyab, if India allows 1 million ton sugar export, then what will happen to your export? I mean to Pakistan's export.
Pakistan, first and foremost, we just exported 790,000 tons. And our anticipation was that next year we would have 7 million tons of production, while our consumption is 6 million. But it seems that my good friend here, Rahil, had predicted last time we were on a panel that Pakistan might have a much lower production, and so far the results are indicating that the yield is much lower than last year. The cane availability is also less. So the initial estimates were around 7 million. Now they are predicting 6.2, 6.3 million. So there was an initial euphoria of more exports coming out from Pakistan, but that seems to have died down. The government has clearly stated that once the season ends in April, then they will come to a decision. And if we are at a break-even situation, they will probably not allow export. We are hopeful we will not have to import, like Rahil said, but you never know in Pakistan. And last year also, we had initially predicted 6.3, but we ended up with 6.8.
So do you think you need to import in coming months?
I personally don't think we will need to import because there is still a carryover stock. But that said, I think the situation will be much clearer beginning of Feb, because some of the farmers were also withholding the cane because of lower prices this time. They don't have a fixed price, they have a floating market. So I feel that we will scrape through, and hopefully this year we will not need to import. But I personally don't see more exports coming out unless there's a surprise and there is a spurt of availability of cane, because unlike India, Pakistan is very undefined in terms of statistics, availability. It's all guesstimates. As far as if India comes through, I think there's good potential, as Rahil also said, because the Afghan demand is there, definitely. The Tajiks are buying through Afghanistan, the Uzbeks are buying through Afghanistan. And recently we've seen Pakistan exporting close to 450,000 tons in 3 months, whereas traditionally we used to say 50,000, 70,000 is the demand from Afghanistan. But we've seen a spurt in demand over the last 3 to 4 months from Afghanistan.
So what Pakistan's view on India's export scenario? Do you think India should allow? What's your view?
I think India should definitely allow if the figures are as per what Rahil said, if there is sufficient stock. But in terms of opportunity, this is the window of opportunity in the next 2-3 months, because then once Brazil comes into play,
But who will pay the price if prices will go
price
up
right
after
now,
export?
I think yesterday Afghanistan bought 45 Ikumza at around 530 CNF. So I mean, if there will be 1 million tons, 1.5 million tons coming, of course the prices will go down further. It also depends on the world markets, but I think somewhere between 500, 510 could be achieved, because that is where the Pakistanis also gave to the Afghanis with the difference in transport also. So I think anywhere between 490 to 520 might be the range for India, CNF Karachi. That might be the range.
Okay. So Manoj ji, because we are talking lots of on sugar export, so what's your take? If India allows sugar export, do you think domestic prices will go up sharply? Or do you think there is enough stock, so not worry about price?
See, I am more in Ravi's corner on this than Rahil's.
Ravi's corner. So you also got a call from
So I am in a unique position in this panel. In this panel of India, I am in a unique position of dissociating myself from the Indian domestic scenario, because I buy Brazilian sugar and I sell outside of India. So if Indian export comes in, for me, if it makes from a value perspective, if I can buy India, I'll buy India. So for me, as a refiner, I will be more concerned with the global demand supply rather than the Indian scenario. So that's why I said. So my take is that there is not enough sugar for this year, but a decision like an export would be taken looking at multifarious factors, including farmer payments and all those. It will definitely have an impact because your availability of domestic sugar will go down.
Okay. Sood Saab, because you have deep research on sugar sector, so I just wanted to know, what's your view? Do you think there is big mismatch in sugar production figure?
Yeah, I think there is a big mismatch. Also, I think most of these estimates are, well, they might claim they've gone to fields and all that. Most of these estimates are peripheral on surface. Let's look at it another way. Area, nobody better than Government of India to estimate area. It may be wrong, it may be right, but the same bias is there every year if there's an error. The area is 5.7 million hectares. Last year yield was low, 79. This year, how much lower can it be? 71, 72. And because we see evidence that in the whole region, the agricultural yield is low, not only in UP. UP has a specific serious problem. So in Maharashtra, Karnataka. So, so that's why 71 or 72. On that one, you don't see a number of 26.8 or 27, and or 31 gross, which today National Federation has lowered to 31. So basically, there are one or two other dynamics. One is a very variable fluctuating amount of cane goes to Gur and Khansari. Last 5 years, it has been as low as 40 million tons to as high as 100 million tons. So in a year like this, that sector gets less cane. If that sector gets less cane, it comes into sugar mills. And how much less it will be? Can it be 10 million lower than last year? Last year was 85. So can it be 75? So that area is to watch. Whatever we have gathered from the ground, that sector is having a stress. They're not getting cane. Good prices have gone up by about 10%, or sorry, 15-20% Muzaffarnagar in a couple of months. So you have that one possibility. Another one serious possibility is that the Government of India is stubborn on ethanol prices. We had expectations that it will be done in October. So far, so much time has passed. Another challenge is that if you looked at global Brent crude and all that, and the Indian rupee loss in value, ever since it became clear that President Trump is getting elected, not when he was elected, a month earlier, the cumulative effect of these two is 20% on Indian crude basket, 20% higher. And then now they have threatened more sanctions on Russia. So our ability to buy crude from Russia
Crude
will
price
be
is
lower.
unlikely to sustain above 80.
Yeah, that will be. So if can they increase your petrol to 100 by 10%, 15%? Can they forego taxes? Probably ethanol will be a sufferer, because ethanol enters the mix at 70 rupees average. There is every justification to increase the prices because cane has gone up. But politicians are politicians. They are not economists. And so I suspect that change in crude price, so once that happens, can 1 million tons come back from ethanol to sugar? So from the present estimate of 27 of National Federation today, can it become 29? It's quite possible.
Yes. So biggest question is maths. Maths is myth or truth? That is the biggest question. What is the calculation actually?
Yeah, because there's so many moving parts. The biggest conclusion is, in my view, having known the government for the last 40 years inside and outside, there is every possibility that they will not increase the ethanol price. which means there will be disincentive to divert B-heavy. Juice might go. And, well, even the maize ethanol might suffer. That is another subject.
Okay.
Then good is before us. They are getting less cane. So where is that cane going?
Right.
If in the equation last year was 86 million, and this year is 70 or 75, in the equation you get more drawl. That's what they call in the industry, drawl percentage. Is it 70, 72 or what? So something from, so I think the production is not less than 28, it can be even more.
So whose figure, whose figure is more reliable? Is mass production figure, Sugar Federation production figure, or ISTA sugar production figure?
I think all of them should get together.
Get together.
Take into account these two factors,
And they should organize
which
sugar.
ISTA is doing on 25th. It's doing a Mahakumbh of...
Mahakumbh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So...
Raviji, what's your take? Whose figure is more reliable? Production figure? Is mass figure, Sugar Federation figure, or ISTA's figure?
I will answer this question because it will take a little bit longer since
Yeah,
you
you
are not
can,
from
you
the
can.
sugar industry.
Yes.
You see, you cannot rely on anyone's figure because cane is something which changes its yield productivity day by day. For example, let me just give you example for your better understanding. Now, flowering in Karnataka is not unusual. Flowering happens in cane. And what does flowering do? Flowering basically, stops the yield and cane stops growing, right? This year, one of the reason for flowering is that there was unseasonal rains. Due to that, the flowering happened and the yields have stopped growing, right? Now, today, can you forecast rains of next month?
Yes. IMD already doing.
So, if IMD was so, forget IMD, NOA and ABARE and all of those, if the weather would have been forecasted so well, then I think our lives would have been very different.
We have already future market, and CGX MD is here. So we are already forecasting price for next month.
No, I'm talking about weather. I'm not talking about price. Price is the function of what everyone thinks in terms of supply and demand. Rain is different. Now, I'll tell you the red rot in UP, right? Red rot on UP was very small in one area of Bijnor. It spread, and now we are realizing that along with red rot, there is a top borer also which has developed. Now, can you forecast this disease that it will happen next month? It's like forecasting human life, that how human will behave next day. And this is not wheat. This is not grains. This is not 4 months crop. This is a crop which grows for 12 months to 18 months. Every day there are changes. To forecast these crops is highly tough job. But let me finish. Let me finish.
I'm just adding one question, a small question. In the same time frame, then there should be a same view on sugar production. But the problem is, in the same circumstances, what you are saying, views are different. Why?
Yes. You have asked a very pertinent question. So let me answer one of the part of this thing. So the cane production is a function of area and the yields. Yields, I told you, has its challenge because in India there are 16 sub microclimates, subtropical climates which I am talking. Area, as Susa very right said, that we can have a good sense on area because government does more or less a very good job because there are people at the grassroots level who does it. Now coming to your question, that why there is a difference of opinion in terms of the production number, right? The difference happens because which side are you looking at? For example, you speak to a sugar mill in Sholapur, he will say, oh, disaster. Maharashtra will not be more than 8 million tons, right? Within UP, you ask me my sugar mill which is in Agota, I will say UP production will be same as last year, no change at all. But you go to Bijnor, Dwarkesh, he will tell you that my production is 30% down. I'll tell you, when the industry estimate was 33.2, one of the big industrialist who is in UP, to their shareholder meeting, he was forecasting a crop of 32 million tons.
So this is the question. Why there is so superficial survey?
Because
Why?
there is no plus 2 is equal to 4. Because forecasting sugarcane production is both science and art. You are attaching your subjectivity and experience along with it. And everybody has a different experience.
So you want to say that the agencies which are doing surveys, they are not following the scientific methodology?
Because there is no science. Within one district, I'll give you an example of Panchganga.
They should not do the survey.
No,
Let decide the market.
No, they should do the surveys. I'll tell you why they should do
If
the
you
survey.
don't have any scientific methodology, then why you are confusing the people?
I'll tell you
industry and trade?
why they should do the survey. Not that the crops will go, haywire. It's a difference of 2 to 3 million tons. It's a difference of, let's say, 10%. So you are within the range. Today, what's happening in India? Not that anybody is saying that the gross production will be 35 million tons. Everybody is in the range of, let's say, 31 to 33. There is a range. Nobody is saying that the gross production is going to be 28 million tons, and nobody is saying it is going to be 37 million. So that range you have to plan something.
So game happens in the range, actually.
Game happens in the range.
Happens in the range.
Absolutely. Absolutely, you are so right. That is why India has to keep a certain level of stocks, that if the shock is there of the production, we just don't go high and dry. And that stock India which has taken, which is government has also agreed,
So
is around
why you are focusing only on shortage? It may be surplus also.
Oh, 100%. Why not? Why not? Go back to April, which you asked me a question just recently. It was sure surplus because rains were bountiful. We knew only Maharashtra has a little bit of less area because people had uprooted the ratoon. UP, absolutely there was no problem. Karnataka, there was no flowering, right? And you were taking a best course as export. And mind you, this is the history of India. In 2016, I tell you, I remind you of that year, which I keep telling everyone. India was giving incentive for exports. And that incentive was coming with the rider that whatever quota I have given you for exports, if you do not export 80% of it, you will not get that incentive. And within 6 months, not only we stopped export, but also put export duty of 20%. This happens. This is sugarcane. You forget India. Go to any other country in the world. Can Brazil estimate its rice production? Can EU do its wheat production? Can Thailand do a wheat production? Thailand, for example, this year, I'll give you an example. Thailand started that we will producing 11 million tons. The numbers are coming sub 10. Pakistan exported most of its sugar thinking that they will produce 7 million ton of sugar. They have given extra quota of 500,000 ton also that let's export, and now he's saying 6.2 million tons. You have to understand the nature of crop. It is not a production machine, you put a certain kind of raw material and it will give that output. You're dealing in agriculture produce.
And here are the scopes of manipulation, what you are saying.
I don't know.
If you have different numbers, then you can manipulate easily.
Because you take your view. You think that this is the production number from your experience. Somebody else says this is the production number from his experience. That's how across the world commodity is traded. If everybody would be thinking in the same direction, then Mr. Raste will have to go home and not run the exchange.
What Ravi said, you agree?
I think you see, what we have not done enough, I think, in the last 30 years of my experience of trading, is that we have never invested money into research, to be very honest with you. I mean, look at the miller's condition today. If you ask a miller, and you go and tell him what is the cane availability in your farm, and he will say, as good as last year. What is the next mill? Oh, they will be suffering. So the cane managers have been, I think, potentially, the crop estimation and the crop managers are like a PP bag today. They are the least paid people. So when they have to report to their bosses, they always report the rosy picture. And as you begin with the crop, as you move on life. So I think personally, I won't disagree with Ravi to say that, okay, we have to be predictability on the right side. But I think the numbers will always fluctuate basis agro conditions, which will which will prevail during the time. But I think important is
agro condition and the trade dynamics.
Trade dynamics also probably.
What trade you have?
Absolutely.
According to them also.
UTC today, if I was working for a multinational, you have been speaking this word, I would be speaking what my research has been saying. The reason is if I am into an organization, and if my organization says that the Brazilian crop is going to be 600 million ton of cane, I can come back into the blackboard in my heart and say that it could be 580 million. But for the knowledge of the market,
sometimes research is being provided by the big boss also.
Has to be.
You have to say this and this.
So suppose like I would be giving to my organization the Indian estimates. The Brazilian will be giving the Brazilian estimate, and that will make the trade flow to say whether the globally the sugar is in surplus or it is in deficit. But important is, I mean, I think Mrituenjay Jha, you have been driving this particular point for a very long time. I think what we should do as an industry is go more scientific on our research, because today that is available. And barring that, I mean, agroclimatic conditions will always keep changing. So that is somewhere where I think investment is needed, and that R&D no other companies is doing currently.
I want to add something with Rahil. Of course, we should make best use of technology in assessing the crop. But I'll tell you the practical problem. A mill has a catchment area of 15 kilometers, right? So you have to only monitor 15 kilometers of area to know what is the production, sugarcane production in your factory would be, right? Rahil is running a factory in UP, right? Can any of his cane managers forecast that what is the cane which his factory will get? It's a different crop. It is a different crop, and this is which we'll all need to understand. We can add science, like I'll tell you science. So there is a remote sensing survey where through the GPS you try to assess the crop. Lot of crop, because when you see from the satellite on the top, everything looks green, and from the wavelength you find out whether this is sugarcane or this is maize or so. That also is not perfect. I'm not saying that you don't invest into the technology. Do that and see if we can bring it to efficacy. But the best technology which India already has is the man on the grassroots level, about which Mr. Sood was telling. That the guy who is the village level worker, who is the one who does the girdwari, he can always find out from farmer that how much in his land, what he has sown, sugarcane, maize or wheat, and that area can be compiled. It's very, very easy in India. In fact, the Indian agriculture system at the ground level is probably the vast network which we have. We can actually put some more pressure on that system and turn out to be the best as far as area thing is concerned.
Okay, fine. So now the final round. So now we'll take price outlook from all the panelists. So what's your price outlook, global price outlook, sir? Starting from you, yeah. What's your view on global price for next 2-3 months? Yeah.
Global price, I would say that it will range anywhere between 18 to 20 cents New York. That is my prediction.
Yeah, please. Your views, sir, on price outlook?
You want me to continue?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So basically, we are looking at a very balanced demand-supply situation globally, and so because of that, I don't see that the prices will go up anywhere further than that. What we need to look at is the currency, because I know that there was a huge effect on the currency for the prices to come down, and already the dollar is getting strengthened.
Okay.
And so for the local traders, I just want to mention.
Right. Mr. Ranga, do you think prices will go up or go down?
Well, I would say now, if you take the local market, I mean, in terms of local market, for the last 1 month and a half, so we have been importing at the range of 600 levels. So my feeling and what I think the market will remain at these levels. It will not going to come down, but unless the Indian policies, unless the Indian announce any exports, so the market will collapse badly, and that will that will affect the local market as well in Sri Lanka.
Okay. What's your view, sir, on price? What's your view?
Actually, the global market, when you see, it's basically the funds driven. No, there is nothing else. No,
Okay.
global market is always funds driven. Like at the moment, it just something goes on headline, the market will crash or market will go up. So,
So,
it's
Ravi,
very,
what's
very,
your
very
view
difficult to say.
with export and without export price outlook? With 1 million ton export, what would be the price? And
Now,
without the
not
export,
today.
what would be the price?
Today, I think the whole day, a whole night, you have seen my dream and you asking questions. all of those are coming one after the another. And incidentally, I also saw your dream answering all of those. so, okay, so Indian exports will not matter, to be honest, because I'll tell you very simple. My observation is like this.
You're from heart? Or
No, I'm telling you, I'm giving you the logic, because I'll tell you why it won't happen. Why this will not matter. You see, 1 million ton of exports divided into 500 mills, based on the stocks. Some mill will get 200, some mill will get 300. And we have a absolute mastery in complicated things, right? So I don't think 1 million ton of exports will make such a big difference. And in any case,
then 1 lakh ton Khansari export should be allowed? If million ton will not matter, then 1 lakh ton
you're asking
Khansari?
about the global prices now.
No, I'm just asking.
No, I'm answering. Everything has to have a reference, you know. You can't ask about a necktie and start talking about suit. So where I was coming at, Rahil very rightly said that we are already close to the Indian export parity, right? So even if export happens, the market cannot fall later because then the India export will not take place. And I think at these prices I see we are very, very close to Chinese parity as well. It's a fact of the matter that Brazil doesn't have stocks. And this is reflected not in the sentiments, it is reflected in the market. If you look at March-May inverse, it is $22. When I say March-May inverse means that March is higher by $22 as compared to May, which shows that March there is a tightness of sugar, right? You have EU, which he was buying at 30 over at one point of time. EU price is already touching around 550 to 600 euros, right? So there is no EU. Ukraine has dropped. So all these factors, takes me to that the market will remain supportive. But one factor, which I do not know, which is what does the currency do?
Right.
Tomorrow, if the dollar continues to, you see today, I was sitting with the HSBC before I coming here in Delhi. I believe the 10 years yield of the bond is 5%.
Right.
Right? And with that kind of yield, everything is kind of getting back to US. If the dollar continue to strengthen, and all currency, we have seen Indian currency weakening, we have seen Brazil touching even 6.6, 6.7, then of course there will be a little bit jerk.
Okay, so we have very less time. So one question which you have to, I think you should answer.
The last right.
What's your view on Khansari export? 30 seconds.
You see, the issue with Khansari exports, I have two actually. I have one thing I must say that I have never been against any of the SME products.
So it should be exported.
Right, but hear me out. No, you
are in favor of Khansari export, right?
A good moderator who likes who loves to complete a sentence,
you are in favor of Khansari export, right?
So what I'm saying, where the problem in coming in Khansari? One, that Khansari, you ask these importers, there are 50 different color of grains which is going as Indian sugar called Khansari. Right? It spoils the image of that Indian sugar per se. The moisture in Khansari is more than sugar because it is made from a different process. One is vacuum pan process, so the moisture is very negligible. Since it's a cottage industry, so the moisture becomes very high. The lumps has become a general issue. Lot of countries, and there are complaints about the quality of Khansari. Right? So we should focus, if Khansari has to be a regular export, we should focus so that we send from India a product which is 100% good and brings an image and more brand image to the country.
Okay.
That's it.
So these are the concerns, Rahil bhai, for Khansari export. You agree?
Completely disagree. I mean, there's absolutely no point even discussing about it. India produces about 500,000 ton to 750,000 tons of Khansari, which is consumed by Indians. So you can't say that the quality is bad. You can't say the conditions are bad and it is dirty. I mean, completely. I mean, it just doesn't work. I mean, please look at the shelf today and go to Baba Ramdev or any other product, and the Khansari is our heritage product. Is a product which is on the shelf, which is naturally produced. And we have a sugar miller saying that, oh, it is bad inside. I have exported Khansari. I mean, it's very close to my heart because I am also an owner of a Khansari mill today. So I can vouch and stand for it. Is very important is that there are food and safety regulations.
Let him answer. Yeah, please, sir.
No. First, let me complete about the quality. You see, Sri Lanka is a very different breed. Sri Lanka protects their local industry for brown sugar. So anything which is above 200 ICUMSA, if it is an Indian sugar also above 200 ICUMSA, the customs here stops it.
Okay.
So please do not let the importer speak. Let first speak from the perspective of quality. So what do you think? That 750,000 tons of Khansari producer, which the Indian eats, is unhealthy? So I exported sugar into Uzbekistan, into Afghanistan. Part it went to Djibouti. They just loved it. They loved this. They loved it. There are concerns because you see, any product which has been shipped out of India for the first time, it takes a while before you make the market. And I promise you, on this stage, that when India exports opens up and we are able to compete with the sugar exports, Khansari will start to fetch premium because it will be accepted in that way. The Khansari producers are also producing good quality of Khansari.
Okay, sir. Okay. Now, yeah, please, your view, sir.
No, actually, Khansari, I am not saying the Khansari sugar, the quality is bad or anything like that, but we have a problem in Sri Lanka because as you know that the white sugars are allowed up to 200 ICUMSA. So when it comes to Khansari, certain bags will go up above that that mark, Then we'll have a problem with the SLSI here. Actually, I have imported Khansari because I had some issues with the SLSI. So I managed to sort it out, but
Okay.
After that we stopped it because of the inconsistency of the
Okay, fine.
the bags. Yeah.
Right.
Let me add something to it. Actually, if you take Khansari, for me it's a replacement of local whites for Sri Lanka actually. So if you take local whites, it's similar quality. So I recommend if all the importers should understand the ICUMSA levels. I think that is very important. Before you get the shipment export from India, so you better check the ICUMSA levels. As long as the ICUMSA levels are fine, I mean below 200 because
In 30
our
seconds.
limits
30
are 200.
seconds,
Yeah.
Sood, okay, sir. 30 seconds, Sood Saab. What's your view on price outlook? 30 seconds.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. We have only 1.5 minutes left.
It'll be, the macro will be bearish, and sugar's own situation is constructive, so it has to be steady.
Okay.
So like the US short-term treasury rates yields are very high compared to long-term, which means recession. Although there is no recession,
Right.
US is doing admirably well. US dollar will remain firm,
Okay. Okay.
and which will make all these currencies weak. So consumers will consume less, and the producer will want to price the sugar lower.
So prices will go down.
No, because the balance sheet itself is
Right.
balanced.
Okay. Tayyab bhai, your outlook on price. You have 30 seconds to answer.
For the global prices, before that, if I may also give my take on
Global
Khansari, we also sold to Afghanistan. I would
We have
only
to
say,
do another session on Khansari.
yeah, I would just say that you should not compare the price of BMW and Alto car, as we say in Karachi. If you're buying that product, then your price is also less. But Khansari is inconsistent. Yes, you can't compare with top of the line. So some of the customers are expecting that product and at this price. Secondly, I think the prices internationally will be range bound. I don't see too much bullish sentiment.
Yeah. Manoj, your view?
See, I won't dare speculate on the prices, but one thing is there, 60 to 70% of the price, commodity price, is speculative, is spec book. So where the capital flows might be in the next 6 months will determine the price.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you very much, all the panelists, to giving such a insightful information on sugar industry and trade. So we don't have any time to take some questions. Can we have?
Sure, we'll roll the
5
AV,
minutes?
please. Thank you very much, sir, for that.
Can we have two? Can we take 2-3 questions? No. Yeah.
We'll have questions after the AV, please. Thank you, sir. Are we rolling?
The world is transforming with a desire to reconnect with nature. While the world thinks green, we at Renuka live green. With a vision to be a leading sustainable agribusiness company in food and bioenergy, Renuka, a Wilmar Group company, is committed to providing greener environment and be partners in our country's growth. Wilmar, a Singapore-based global leader with an integrated agribusiness model that encompasses the entire value chain, is helping Renuka march forward with its valuable experience. Renuka has been actively building a better tomorrow through constant innovations in 5 major businesses: sugar milling, refineries, Madhur Sugar, bioenergy, KBK engineering. An essential ingredient for households, sugar comes from the vast farmlands in the north, west, and south of India. At Renuka, we ensure that only the best sugarcane is crushed to extract juice. This juice is then refined using the most advanced state-of-the-art technology to produce pure crystals of sugar that not only fulfill the domestic demand but are also exported from our mills and refineries spread across the country. The strategic locations of the mills have helped us grow by streamlining our supply chain, economizing input costs, and ensuring timely deliveries. We are proud to run one of the largest sugar refineries in the world at Kandla on the western coast. Our second refinery is at Haldia to service the eastern coast. These port-based refineries have a clear logistical advantage in importing raw sugar and exporting our globally accepted high-quality sugar. Our 100% export-focused refineries have made us one of the largest sugar producers globally, helping us strengthen the nation's economy. Madhur, pure and hygienic sugar, Renuka's flagship consumer brand, is today India's #1 packed sugar brand with over 32% share of the market. And a lot of this love is owed to the unmatched 5S guarantee that every pristine, shining grain of Madhur carries. As a true testament to its consistent quality and growing popularity, it is also growing at over 20% CAGR since 2018. With an aim to provide the consumer with superior sugar that is manufactured, packed, and delivered untouched by human hands, Madhur Sugar has contributed to bringing true sweetness into the kitchens and lives of its consumers. Renuka is one of India's largest ethanol supplier. Ethanol's contribution in our business and in driving India towards carbon neutrality and lowered carbon emission has been on the rise. We at Renuka substitute fossil fuels with bagasse, which is used to create energy that powers our sugar mills and residential colonies. The excess energy is delivered to the power grid for public use. zero discharge, zero waste, and sustainable practices reduce our carbon footprint and protect the environment for a healthier tomorrow. A major Renuka subsidiary, KBK Engineering, is a leading EPC solutions and technology provider for distilleries. KBK Engineering has successfully built distilleries both in India and abroad and has been helping build a sustainable future by enhancing ethanol and distillery capacities through its expertise. Our success is largely driven by our core priorities, our people. The safety of our employees is paramount, and we conduct periodic training to this end. International best practices are followed to ensure zero accidents in the workplace. Renuka has always been committed to protecting the environment. All its factories maintain zero carbon emissions. Renuka practices a circular economy to make agriculture sustainable for the farmers. With an aim to give back to the community, we have made a conscious effort to uplift villages through our CSR initiatives in health, education, water conservation, environment, providing clean drinking water, and support to the farmers. With these 5 major businesses, Renuka has cemented its position as a market leader with a dominant presence and expertise across the entire value chain, that is, sugar refining and production, green energy generation and EPC solutions. Renuka is truly in a sweet spot. Through Wilmar's vast international network, Renuka has the much-needed consumer trust, allowing us to grow exponentially, transform the farming industry, and build sustainable solutions for the future.
Any questions from the audience, please? Mike will come around.
So if anybody have any question on sugar? No. All are satisfied.
They might have had an overdose of sugar.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much once again, Mrituenjay. It was a marathon session, and thank you for doing it so very ably. I'd like to request you to do us one more honor, sir, and present your panel with mementos on behalf of the organizers. We'll start from your extreme right-hand corner, and the first one goes to Mr. Tayyab Balagamwala. Tayyab, if you could step towards the center. Mrituenjay ji, aap. Guys, it was sugar. Show some energy. Next one goes to Manoj Mohan of Paris Sugar's Refinery, India. You know, the sugar panel was, the way it was going in the early, I thought it was so hectic and so heated. It was just more than sugar. Up next to a very eminent gentleman, G.K. Sood from Meir Commodities, India. Coming up, man of many parts, Rahil, Shaikh, Meir Commodities also. Next, from Renuka Sugars, India, Ravi Gupta. On the other side of the panel, from Nihal Brothers Group, the Vice President, Sugar Importers Association of Sri Lanka, Nihal Seneviratne. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ranga Wellappili. Coming up next, partner Wilson Trading Company, Sri Lanka, Kasun, Andrahennadi. And I would like to request Country Governor BSAF for Sri Lanka, Dr. Mahmood Kader, to please step up on stage and present a memento to our moderator for this session, Commodity Editor, Zee Business India, Mrituenjay Jha. May I request the panel to please give us a memento photograph? Dr. Kader, if you could please. Yeah, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please put some protein in your, thank you.